What is the reason of me? That is the right question to be asking yourself, and that's the right prayer to be praying. Lord, what is the reason of me? He's the one that's designed you. He's the one that put you in your life and in your place and in this time. And He'd be the best one to ask, what's the reason of me? But something that gets in the way is if we try and sum up our life. Now, you can start summing up your life when you're 8 or 9 or 10 years old. You can start summing it up by comparing. I don't have this, or I'm not like that. That starts at a very early age. I'm not picked, I don't have a friend, I'm not wanted. I remember one time when I was playing the piano, practicing as a little girl, trying to have it just right because I thought maybe that would help me have more friends. Now, I don't know that that makes logical sense, but to an 8, 9, 10-year-old child, that seems really important. If I could play the piano just right, and I sum it up, how many friends do I have? See, summary has a measure. I think that all of us have spent our time summing it up. And I want to challenge you, there's a difference between summing up your life and actually living your life. If you're constantly summing up your life, you're not living it. If you're constantly measuring your life, you're actually not just being in it. You're comparing and you're changing and you're modifying it in order to somehow measure to a certain standard. Now, right now, we live in a culture that everything is about summing up how you look compared to other people, summing up how far you've come compared to other people, summing up what you have or don't have compared to other people. And you can do that at 10, at 15, at 25, at 50. That I'm summing up my life. Well, I remember a girl, perhaps it was me, when I was a senior in high school. We had a big end of school party, and it was going to be at a park, and it was going to be water balloons and mud fights and shaving cream, and it was going to be just a wonderful big fest outdoor at the park. But I had spent most of my life summing up how I looked, comparing myself to other people. And one of the things that was really troublesome for me during all those years was my hair. My hair wasn't thick, my hair wasn't curly, my hair wasn't luscious. See how I'm summing it up. I'm looking and saying, well, what is it? It's thin, it's fine, it's straight. And I didn't have a beautiful 1980s hairdo. I had kind of straight hair, thin hair, fine hair. But I had learned how to use the curling iron and the hot rollers, and I really had a pretty good 80s hairdo full of hairspray. However, we're riding on the bus. Gotta keep those windows up so my hair doesn't blow. Because when you sum up, one of the things you do measure is how does anyone else look at the summary of me? Notice that's different, the summary of me versus the reason of me. So that day came, I rode with the windows up. We got off the bus, we had our lunch, but I eventually ended up back on the bus. And the only reason why is because I didn't want my hair to be messy. I didn't want my hair to be messy because I didn't want to have negative opinion about me. Because see, when you sum up, there's a way you're not living your life in the way God intended, in the way that He designed you to be. You're actually living your life in the view of other people and how they measure it. Actually, the summary of life is not your summary, it's the summary of what you imagine other people evaluate your life to be. So one day I was walking past my office. I have volumes and volumes and volumes of journals where I've written my thoughts, I've written my troubles, I've written with tears, I've written with joy, I've written really good poems. And I thought to myself, walking past the counter and the bookshelf that has all my journals, I need to get in there and find the best parts and kind of sum it up. And then I heard myself say this to myself, I don't want to sum up my life, I want to live my life. I don't want to look back and see, did I write that well? What will people think? Should I pull out all the good poetry and put that in a different volume and just burn the rest? That would take up today. That would take up my opportunity now for who God's designed me to be. That would take up a place where I could enjoy all the gifts of today. Today, the gifts of the sunshine or the clouds or the birds or the weather or my friends or my tea or my coffee or the word. Even my relationship and my awareness of Him. Notice when I'm doing summing up my life instead of living my life, I'm not living it with Him. So why do you suppose we do that? I think one of the reasons why we're so susceptible to having a measure is because of something actually that God did that we don't understand. You know, someone who did a whole summary of their life was Solomon, and he summed it up in the book of Ecclesiastes. And he talked about all the things he had done. He could have sent the scribes out, get my diary, get my journal, bring it in and sum it up. He said, I've done this and I've done that. I've had wealth and I've had riches. I've built this, I've gone there. I've done all these things, and this is what I've come to the conclusion of in measuring it all up. Not a lot there in measuring it up. Why is that? Well, he actually told us in chapter 3. He told us that there's a place where God has put eternity in the hearts of men. Now, there's been some teaching that we have a God-shaped hole. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but people will talk about things we use to fill the God-shaped hole. I think I would put that a little differently. I don't think that there's a hole that if you just put God in there, then you won't eat too much or drink too much or do something you shouldn't do. I think it goes a little farther than that. I'd like you to be aware as you're praying about what's the reason of me, that part of the reason of you is that you're eternal. And there's a part of you, even here and now, that God has placed in you that has to do with eternity, and it's not going to get satisfied here. It gets satisfied in an eternal way. It gets satisfied there. There's parts of us that we kind of have to live with not finished yet. Parts of us we live with not quite satisfied yet. And if we're constantly summing, then we're looking to be satisfied. If we're constantly summing, then we're looking to have achieved and reached a one and done, and now I can be satisfied. And yet, as eternal beings living right here in a temporal place, we're not going to be satisfied because we're made for something more. There's a reason of you here and now, but there's also a reason of you then and there. And I want us to learn. I want to help you understand, how do I know the difference between what's something that needs to be accomplished now? What's something that my purpose has me here for now? The reason of me today, or the reason of me tomorrow. The reason of me that's my future, the reason of me that's my calling, my destiny, my outcome. I want us to find that. But I always want to remember holding it lightly in the other hand, holding it carefully in the deeper parts of our heart. A big chunk of us, a big part of us, is meant for eternity. And nothing here that we achieve is going to satisfy that. So what are we left with? What does that mean? Well, Solomon actually answered it. Right after he said, God's put eternity in the heart of men, then he said, there's a way in which God has made it from beginning to end. And what is there for man to do? To rejoice. It says to do good in your life, that every man should eat and drink and enjoy of all his labors. That's the gift of God. It's living your life. You're enjoying your life. That's a gift from God. In fact, Jesus restated it, and he said, don't forget, the reason why I've come is for you to have life and have it more abundantly. I'm the good shepherd. My sheep know my voice, and the good shepherd takes you to the green grass and the still waters. He gives you peace from your anxiety. He gives you rest from your labors. He says, I'll walk with you. When there's enemies, I'll be with you while we dine and have community. Your cup's going to overflow. I'm going to make sure goodness and mercy are with you. Even if you're going through the valley of the shadow, you don't have to sum up your life. You don't have to measure and compare. Are my troubles worse or not as worse? How are they handling it? What should I do? You don't have to go to influencers and Google and AI to go, am I measuring up? Am I doing it right? What should I know next? No, He wants you to be with Him and live your life. Now, does that mean there's not a measure of some sort? Well, no, there actually is a measure. The Bible talks about growing into the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. That is a way in which we live and enjoy our presence with Him. It's where we go to our be with. Now, that's another video I've done that you can go back and revisit, how to be with Him. That's where you're genuinely living your life. Now, today, I could spend my time going through my cabinets, going through my drawers, going through my volumes and volumes of journals, and trying to find the best parts and putting them all together in some amazing sort of collection and going, this is the summary of my poetry. This is the summary of the good of my life. Or you know what I could do? I could go out and I can enjoy today. I could leave that for another day. I could leave that for later. I could leave that for after I'm gone and someone finds my journals and go, oh, she had some great poetry and they want to put it together in a book. That'd be wonderful. Help yourself. But for today, I'd rather spend my life living it. I'd rather not worry about being in the car with the windows down. I actually have made a plan. I think I'm going to go to an amusement park. I think I'm going to ride some rides. I think I'm going to let my hair flow. I think I'm going to live my life today. And I'm going to say, Jesus, you want to ride the roller coaster with me? You want to be with me? You want to live life together? Hey, I know what we could do. We could rejoice. We could enjoy. It's a gift of God. How about if we don't sum up so much and we spend a little more time living our life? Because that's one of the reasons of me.